The Boston Bruins goalie Jeremy Swayman has been unbelievable in their series versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. He of course started for the Bruins in games 1 and 3, both resulting in victories, but the Bruins have had an ongoing goalie rotation and it's always been unclear from one game to the next who would be starting between Swayman and Ullmark, who of course started for them in game 2, which resulted in a loss. Not necessarily his fault, so heading into the pivotal game 4 tonight, it was still a little unclear who would be starting, but at the time of recording, Swayman has just been announced as a starter for Game 4, so I'm curious to see if once again he'll continue to stifle the Leafs. I don't know what it is about the Leafs in particular that turns this guy into basically the best goalie in the world every time he plays them, but his stats are just ridiculous. Swayman is now 5-0-0 against Toronto this season, but even looking more particularly at these two playoff games, he's of course won both. He has an insane 1.51 goals against average and a .955 save percentage. But the crazy part about this is, I don't think those stats really show how great he's been. And one of the most revealing stats to me is the advanced stat, goals saved above expected, where Swayman currently ranks first among all playoff goalies. And not only does he rank first with 7.8 goals saved above expected. So in other words, he saved an additional 8 shots that probably should have been goals. But the goalie who ranks second in the stat in the playoffs is Vegas goalie Logan Thompson with just 2.4 goals saved above expected. But now we get into what I really wanted to talk about in this video, which is one of the more ironic parts about Swayman continuing to put up these numbers against the Leafs in particular, is that the Leafs could have drafted him a few years back. And I don't mean like, oh, they had the option to and they weren't paying attention or something like that, but no, they were actually in constant communication with him. They needed to take a goalie, and Swayman himself actually talked about this on a previous appearance on former NHL enforcer John Scott's podcast, Dropping the Gloves, when he said that he expected the Maple Leafs to select him because they had multiple discussions throughout the year, and when the Maple Leafs pick at 110 came up, they opted to select a goalie. However, it was not Swayman, instead it was goalie Ian Scott. And what's even crazier is the very next pick at 111, the Bruins would of course select Swayman. So unfortunately for the Leafs, it seemed like they were onto something with Swayman. However, I don't really know what happened with their draft process, but they decided to go in a different direction. Now I get it, hindsight is 2020, and if he comes back to cost you this series, it will look a little bit worse. But anyway, what did you think about this? And if you want to see more hockey videos, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.